1 day to go until the 2025 Women's Rugby World Cup. 4 teams we haven't talked about. 4 teams we've got to run down through right now. And these are 4 of the most exciting, interesting teams. The 4 teams we've had to do the most look into, you know?
Yeah.
I think there are teams like Samoa, who I know I'll be open, like I know very little about, who you've had to kind of look into because they don't play a great number of games. I think prior to World Cup qualifying for the 2021 World Cup, I think they played something like 12 games ever.
Yeah.
So they've almost doubled that over the course of qualifying and then coming into this World Cup. They will have more than doubled that by the time we get there from where they were 5 years ago, or less than 5 years ago. So there's a few of these teams, right, that perhaps I expect people watching will know less about, and we've had to do a bit of digging into.
Yes. Yeah.
However, the more I looked into teams like Brazil, the more excited I got.
Brazil, I know little about,
Yeah.
next nothing about as a 15-a-side rugby team. Watched them at the Olympics last year and fell in love with them. But yeah, I don't really know too much what to expect.
Yeah, I've done quite a lot of digging into Brazil.
Yeah.
Brazil are the team I'm really excited by because Brazil are basically a jouet team. You mentioned their sevens team. That is very much their area of expertise. That's the area an awful lot of their squad comes from.
Yeah.
You look at, like, obviously the likes of Bianca Silva, the winger, who is superb, who's probably like almost a star name. I think people that did watch a lot.
I know her.
Sevens.
I know her.
Yeah, like she's the standout name, right?
Yeah.
Come over to 15s, looks very sharp in the 15-side game. However, Ishlin Coimbra, their captain, are you familiar with?
Nope.
Who is the captain, also plays sevens, also went to the Olympics last year, is a second row. So
second rows who play sevens are a great brand of rugby player.
Isn't quite in the Leone Nakaroa mould, but isn't like a million miles away, right?
Sure.
It's like a bit shorter, you know, not quite
like
as
a Fossa
Fijian,
Lukatui, maybe.
But like very much like a rangy, athletic, ball-playing second row. Really good on the turnover as well. Like was like one of her real areas of expertise in sevens. Was like she was a really good jackler, but also incredibly athletic.
You should kind of hope so.
So yeah. But she's she's probably the Brazilian player I'm most excited to see. Coimbra, the captain, playing in the second row. I imagine can play back row as well, but it's primarily played second row for them over the last kind of qualifying campaign. So keeping a real eye out. There you've got Luisa Campos at scrum half, who's their one like really experienced player, has been around quite a long time. Obviously none of these players have been to a World Cup before, because this is the first time they've ever qualified. It's going to be a huge occasion for them running out here. And you do have quite a few players who've been on the biggest stage before in playing in that Olympics. So I think they really smartly lent on that experience and brought a lot of sevens players over.
That is one of the exciting things, though, is that this is Brazil's first ever Rugby World Cup. And
Male
so the
female.
chance to see that style of play, like in action on the world stage, is something that's great, and hopefully will educate a lot of people who are watching for the first time to see what that looks like, myself included.
Yeah, no, so I'm really excited about them. There's one other name that stands out, right, in terms of if you're thinking about, obviously those 3 as players I'm excited to see, but as a story, Raquel Cochrane, who was a sevens player, in very many ways still is, and absolutely loves rugby. You will find very few people worldwide who love rugby more than her. Just absolutely lived for it. It was a real dream of hers. Was, you said, like from the moment she was a kid, like was to wear that gold jersey, that yellow jersey, and run out for Brazil. I've been doing it for the sevens team for quite a long time now. And then, about 2 years ago, was playing on the sevens circuit. Pulled up with a knee injury, like serious knee injury, ruled out for the season. She went for the operation on it. And while she was there, while she was under, she came back up and the doctors told her they'd just caught proof she had breast cancer while she was there being operated on. So she then goes through chemotherapy and the entire time continues training with the national team. Yeah. Doesn't play, doesn't fly out of them, but whenever they're at home, continues training.
What was described as a career-threatening knee injury in the first place, at the same time as beating cancer in a fight.
So she goes through breast cancer the entire time, training with the national team and keeping up, right? Partly just because she loved it and she wanted to live some semblance of normal life. Some ways to keep her body, you know, as in the best condition it possibly could be. Yeah. But that is insane. Yeah. Like, again, like people who've gone through chemotherapy, and to imagine training to a national standard in sevens,
that's crazy. That's
unbelievable. Then came back and played sevens for the first time, played for the national team again early 2024, and managed to make the Olympics last year and played in the Olympics.
In sevens, which is the most physically demanding version of rugby union, that's genuinely insane. So, like having to sprint lengths of pitches and be that physical. That's an insane story.
Yeah, like Matthew Rees doing it and come back and play for Wales is one of the great stories of all time.
100%.
but he did it in the front row.
Yeah.
The do it playing sevens is...
It's arguably even more...
Yeah. Not to compare the two achievements.
No,
they're incredible. But,
and what's funny is she's said that the hardest bit was the transition from 7s to 15s.
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay, you are truly the top 0.1% of hardest, most nails rugby players of all time.
A massive mohawk for a period. That isn't going to be there at this World Cup, unfortunately.
Oh, no.
But it's worth looking up. Like, she's cut her hair short. Probably for the aerodynamism of getting through, in sevens and everything. I don't blame her. But one of the great characters, if you see her interviewed, she just beams because she loves playing rugby. Yeah. But you see her on the pitch and she is nails and will hit everything. And
it's another great thing about Rugby World Cups, having characters that you can just cheer for on their own.
Yeah.
And I imagine anybody who is familiar with that story will be just like seeing every time she gets the ball and just going like, go on, Raquel.
No one is expecting Brazil to win a game, I think, including ourselves, maybe other than people in that camp. But I think they'll have some big moments. I think they'll score some lovely tries. And I am very, very excited to cheer for them along that way. And hopefully that includes a few big hits from, Cochan, a few, line breaks from Silva, Coimbra making a couple of big turnovers and then doing like a Nakarawa-style offload to Silva, who runs the rest of the way. Campos bossing 59.
Any points they score is a victory, you know? Anything they can do that's positive. Because that's the great thing about a team that's never been to a Rugby World Cup before. Yeah. We said this about Chile in the previous World Cup. And, there was bits of it where you thought, they've been so underexposed to top-level international rugby, which is a whole different thing. And that's going to be a bit of a theme of this video, I think, a little bit. But, getting the chance to see them make big tackles on, kind of world-famous players and go like, that's bloody Medusa foul you're tackling there. Like, that is a win in itself if that happens. So, I can't wait to see what they do.
Okay. Samoa? Do you want to talk about Samoa?
Yeah, I want to talk about Samoa. I think that's the natural link from this because... Talking of teams who were a little bit underexposed to international rugby, this Samoan team is 100% that. So for a bit of context, we started our preparation for these videos quite a long way out, 2-3 months out from the World Cup, before the Men's Lions tour took place, for instance. And I went back and looked over some of Samoa's games in WXV3 last year and picked out a couple of players that I thought played really well. And then later on in the last couple of weeks, I've come back to review those and realised that none of them have made the squad. I do not know why that is. Obviously, in past men's World Cups, for certain, there have been like union issues with Samoa. I can't see any evidence that it's that.
Not releasing,
yeah, exactly. There's been stuff like that in terms of like flying people out who don't play locally to either Samoa or England.
This is a problem with a few of these teams. A bunch of these teams are amateur.
Yeah.
Right? And... there are teams, the likes of Brazil, are saying they want to professionalise and they're offering money for players going to the World Cup, and so on. But like, if you are Samoan, if you are Fijian, there's a very decent chance here you're not professional, right?
Yeah.
There'll be a tiny handful playing in England or Australia,
who
are playing, or New Zealand, who are earning money to play. Big chance that they aren't full-time professional.
Yeah.
And again, you've got the women's enduro as well playing in Australia.
Yeah.
But all the same, those players, the majority, are not going to be fully pro. They're going to have another job alongside. Can you get 2 months off work to fly over and
the other part of this is if they pick up small injuries, they might not have the funding to just, the union might not necessarily get them to be able to get over those so quickly, and they will come across as bigger injuries than they actually are because they can't get treated for it especially well. So my notes on France Bloomfield are out the window, unfortunately. Brilliant player though she is. I don't know why she's not at this World Cup. It might be an injury thing. It might be something completely different. She might have just not been selected because they've had better players on better form than her. I do not know.
Yeah.
But anyway, Samoa, to put their squad into a bit of perspective. So they have, and this is no exaggeration, 2 players with more than 20 caps.
This, again, will come up once more. Brazil's squad also very inexperienced, very young, an awful lot of players in it.
Their most capped player is Sui Palacia, who is their captain, who is very, very good, plays open side flanker for them, or second row, is an all-action flanker, like round the park. She is quick and she's aggressive, and they are the 2 things that you want out of a Samoan flanker more than anything. But I really, really like the look of her. However, it then gets even thinner than that. They only have 6 players with more than 10 caps. Which is where it starts to get a little bit worrying. They are taking 5 uncapped players to this World Cup. who haven't played a full international. Granted, some of them did play against Australia a month and a half ago. So that will be their first cap.
Yeah.
They've played 2 games against Australia in the last year. One of them, they got a clutch penalty from Kasisia Thanga to win the game around WXV in the autumn last year. And they played one about a month and a half ago where they got pasted by them, unfortunately. Right. It was 45-10, I want to say the score was.
Okay.
So, but that Australia A team was a lot closer to the Australia teams going to this World Cup. Like, I think the one that they played last year was everyone who's not in the squad for WXV, whereas this one, it was like anyone who's not in the starting 23, you know. So, like, Tia Hines was playing in there.
Oh, okay, right.
Like, you know, Matatu Maleka was playing in there. So they had, like, a few, like, Laurie Kramer was playing, you know. So they had, like, some very good players playing in there. So maybe billing them both as Australia A was a little bit, yeah, a little bit unfair. The Wallaroos are great, aren't they, Wally? There's a handful of players that I want to pick out from the Samoan team. Firstly, if you're a fan of the men's game, people that you might want to look out for. Michelle Curry, sister of Michael Curry. Annalise Seo, sister of Scott Seo. And for fans of particularly sevens rugby, but also just women's rugby generally, they have Kelamalia Pori Lane, who is the sister of Lisi Pori Lane. So very confusing for the family that they've got one playing halfback for the Black Ferns and the other one playing in the centres for Samoa, but you know,
equally proud of both, I'm sure.
Absolutely. It's a good place to have split loyalties.
Yeah.
But the one player that's really impressed me is Drenafana Liko at the outside centre channel. I really like the look of her. She's new to international rugby, only has 3 caps, but I just think she comes across as somebody with a really good rugby brain and somebody with really good natural instincts. She took and finished this try very nicely against Australia A, but what I really like is the way she sets up this try for Salele. She comes from the outside of Laurie Kramer's eye line, knowing that she's going to have to drift out here, and immediately transitioned it from an unders line to an overs line. So instead of running towards the ball where it's coming towards you, she then starts running away from it as she catches it and stands Kramer up. Kramer being extremely fast herself, skins her on the outside, offloads to Salele, who runs in the try here against Australia. She's a really balanced player, and I can just see her, if she gets a few more touches of the ball, she's going to be the player that Samoa are going to be looking to feed at all times, because players like this are really valuable, especially in the outside centre position in women's rugby. Like, it's such a unique position in rugby generally, is women's rugby outside centres are, if they have pace, balance and an offloading ability, then those 2 things go such a long way together, because if you defensively fall asleep for half a second, you can get skinned by these kind of players.
However, how many of those are they going to come up against?
Yeah.
When they face the Red Roses, the USA, Australia.
Yeah.
Like, they're looking at, Meg Jones, Emily Scarrett, they're looking at G. Fred, they're looking at Alona Mar.
Yeah.
There is a real worry for the Samoa team here, I think. Yeah. Like, them being amateur, I think the point you raise is that there's a lot of turnover, like a very different squad. If I'm going into the personnel and the quality necessarily, but like
an inexperienced,
very different squad to what they had last autumn, which still was not that most experienced squad in the world. But WXV has forced their hand on that. Yeah. And it has led to they've played probably more games. Well, they definitely more games this World Cup cycle than they have in any other history. And that is because of WXV. Yeah. However,
is that all the exposure they're getting, though?
I think
and
they're
having to send different squads all the time?
I don't think this is on World Rugby shoulders. I think that's Samoan Rugby Union shoulders. Like, they've got to organise some games. They've got to put some stuff together. Yeah. You know, like, and they've got to organise, you know, like, and it's easier said than done, right? Like, I'm sure they would love to go and play.
There's probably faults in all camps, aren't there?
Yeah.
You know?
But is that game available? I don't know. But there is a real worry with the lack of experience here, and the fact that the PWR also, as they increasingly clamp down on overseas players, there is a real fear of, like, very few of these players have got top level experience, and you don't know where they get that from. Like, where are they going to get the exposure to?
I hope that this World Cup will be a stepping stone to that we can see the likes of Fanalilo playing in, like, I don't know, Harlequins or something like that, you know, that hopefully this can be the start of, because Fiji and Samoa, and we'll come on to Fiji next, I think, they are 2 of the nations, for as long as we've watched rugby, that best develop just natural talent in rugby players. And so with Samoa, you will 100% get that. You will get, there will be a viral TikTok that Rugby Pass are sharing of an offload that a Samoan player makes or a Fijian player makes.
You think about last time they're in the World Cup, right? And the horrendous tackle they made on Mo Hunt, having Jerry Collins' 3 cousins in there, in that team. And them being on absolute murder missions.
Of course.
Flipping Mo Hunt upside down. Which look, having no suppose people can work out very quickly who spoken to people from the Red Roses camp, right? One is they have not done a lot of preview work on Samoa. They've done a lot on the other teams, but not a lot on Samoa. But the one thing that everyone does know is everyone has seen that clip of Mo Hunt being spun on the head.
Yeah.
And that is what they're preparing for. It's like a physical battle rather than necessarily like a tactical battle.
Yeah.
And I think they'll get that, but it's what else can Samoa bring?
Yeah. Again, it's offloading, sidestepping, all of that sort of stuff. They have that in abundance.
I worry them a little bit.
Yes.
But also I think they will bring plenty.
Yeah.
Speaking of, Fiji.
Fiji.
So, this Fiji team.
Yeah.
Very exciting. I think definitely the stronger of the two Pacific nations.
Yeah.
They were great fun at the last World Cup. They were really entertaining. They caused some real problems for England. Like, there were some proper headaches in there. There's a few of those players returning. A few of them aren't, disappointingly. So, like, Vasilea, the tight head, who we became huge fans of at that tournament.
Mate, what a player. I was obsessed
was
with her.
Immense.
Yeah.
She, really awful story that she basically got off the back of that World Cup and of playing for Fiji so much kind of bullying about her weight from other Fijians, and obviously being a tight head prop, being like a physically bigger woman, which made her a brilliant rugby player.
Yeah,
because she was like this size and shape that was completely dominant, and she was incredibly powerful.
Being that size made her strong. It made her a great scrummager.
Yeah.
It made her an incredible ball carrier.
She was built like a world-class tight head prop.
The thing when people bully people about this, right, that they forget is that she was fit enough to play 80 minutes at world-class, not world-class, but top-level international
She
standards.
scored a try in the last 2 minutes to win the game against
She
South
played
Africa.
80 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, she was fit
Having
enough to...
started, been the best player on the pitch the entire game.
It's not like she was like taking breaks in the middle of the game. She's not like one of those who was fading out of it. She was outstanding.
I'd like to see one person who made fun of her on social media do that. But because of that, she quit rugby for 2 years. She came back this year, didn't make the World Cup in time, wasn't back up to kind of her standards.
Rugby's worse without her.
Yeah, absolutely. So I really miss her. Like, she was such a brilliant player. And I'm really angry about what happened there.
Get her back in 4 years' time.
Yeah.
That's all I care about.
They do have another proper note though. Batela Tawake, who is, again, big ball carrier, really useful. Want to throw up primarily because one of the most fascinating backgrounds for a prop you'll come across is a dual international.
Okay.
Has played another sport for Fiji. I will let you have 3 guesses at what it might be.
Well, I was going to say rugby
Ball
league.
carrying prop, right? It's not rugby league, it's not rugby sevens.
Volleyball.
No.
Am I close?
Yeah, you're not a million miles
Handball.
away. No. You're getting closer.
Oh, basketball.
Basketball.
Okay.
Is a basketball international prop forward.
Okay, we've got Theo McFarland on our hands.
Yeah. Is in that vein. Has played basketball for Fiji. Is now playing rugby full time. Or it's now focusing on rugby. It's doing basketball. But like skillful ball carrying prop. Anyone for that in the Fiji team?
Hell yeah.
So all for that. This is, however, as you mentioned, like an incredibly inexperienced team. There are 13 players with 5 caps or fewer in here, which is almost half their squad.
Yeah.
So not ideal.
But who needs experience when you've got ball handling ability?
Yeah.
There is a famous name in this squad that I really, really want to talk about. So when you think of Fijian rugby players, the guy, you've got a Fijian shirt on, the guy that comes to mind is the king, the greatest of all time.
I don't think you can even see it.
Waisali Serevi's daughter is playing in this Rugby World Cup. Asinate Serevi, who, again, on screen, I will give you 3 seconds. Write in the comments what position you think she plays.
People might have seen the previous World Cup, though.
They might have done, but if you didn't, did you guess second row? If so, then fair enough. Well done.
Yeah, you know your ball.
Fiji are a different breed when they can go, yeah, brilliant. You've got the genes of the greatest sevens player of all time. Yeah. One of the best ball handlers, probably the best ball handler in rugby union history. Yeah, you've got those genes. Sound, you can play second row. Yeah. And she looks good as well. She's quick. She's good. She's just got a really natural flair to her. She's quick, she can sidestep, and she's really physical.
Can play 8 as well. Does slot in there as well. Just a very, very useful forward to have. The most experienced player in their squad, though, Kara Isaiah, who is very physical 6. I think kind of Natani Tale, the player they maybe remind me of a little bit. Keeps kind of Fijian example. Yeah. Typically 6, can play number 8 as well. is there one player who has been really around the block, has only the 28 caps, but like that is still a majority of games Fiji played for the last 5 years?
That's a big total for Fiji. Yeah.
It really is. And yeah, we'll get on to someone else as we go on that's a similar count. But just, I think like really useful player to have in the squad, like one experienced, like hard-nosed grafter in there, in amongst everyone else. And then you get onto the back three, right? Yeah. And this is the area in which Fiji will always, always excel. We have Alawosi Nkosi, who played the last World Cup and brilliantly skinned Abby Dow on the way to a try.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible.
And is so dangerous. Didn't get as many chances after that, but like caused England so much
Typical
havoc.
Fijian winger, I think. Like the sort of player that you just see pop up in the Pro D2 top 14 all the time. And you're just like, who are you? I've never heard of you, but you've got a Fijian-looking name and you're the most incredible balanced rugby player I've ever seen. Okay, cool, you can stay. Yeah. So yeah, got a lot of time for that coffee.
Score 4 tries and they'll all be unbelievable.
Yeah.
Elsewhere in the back three though, Ilapesi Delawal, who broke through a few years ago, is kind of like the shining youngster here. I think there's a chance she may not start every game. Has been in and out of the team a bit, has only picked up the 5 caps, but has scored 7 tries in those 5 caps. Scored 4 tries on her second cap, then scored on the next 2 games as well. Has just been like a relentless finish every time she was given the ball. And if you go and watch her highlights package, it is properly like running stuff in. It is like against the UAE in qualifying, she had an absolute field day, scored a hat trick, and just looked unplayable at points. So again, I'm judging on what she did against a UAE team that isn't that strong, but also scored against Tonga and Samoa in qualifying, but has been a star for Fiji since they unearthed her. Yeah. So someone who, if she gets a go, I think may cause some damage.
I like it. I really like it. Okay, we've got one more team to go off. And speaking of teams who produce natural rugby talents and have a naturally appealing style of play, Japan.
Yeah.
And again, if you're a men's rugby fan who's new to women's rugby, I've got good news for you. The Japanese style of play translates pretty well from men's to women's rugby.
It's pretty close.
I wouldn't say it's exactly the same, but I think that there's a similar identity in that they really thrive off like first phase. Yeah. It's something they really, really enjoy.
It's one of the problems, I think, with this Japan team, to get a bit analytical, we basically just big people up, is because, we talked about this in the video on the main channel, but because the focus defensively in women's rugby tends to be on containment a little bit. So there's like, typically, most teams, it's not true of everyone, but like slower line speed, less pressure at the breakdown, more numbers on their feet and just spread out and fan across and cover everything is generally the kind of dish of the day. It means the Japanese style of play of incredibly intricate set moves often works less because you kind of got the net surrounding you, that net defence. So that
it makes good yardage rather than clean breaks.
Exactly. But we often see Japan win the loveliest move you've ever seen for 5 metres.
Yeah.
But they are an incredibly aesthetically pleasing team in a very different way to Fiji. Those little passes, that really intricate kind of style of play, and having an almost entirely Canadian coaching panel hasn't prevented them having a very Japanese feeling team.
Yeah. One thing that really surprises me whenever I watch Japan is that they're pretty good at set piece, that, as in their maul and their scrum are both pretty strong. They're very technical in those areas. And I think a lot of it with the maul is like finding which area of the line out the opposition have kind of spread the weakest in, so they can get an early advantage and a drive in that, because they don't have a big pack, unfortunately, but they do have like 8 good ball carriers with really good footwork in that pack. That's something you can guarantee in that. So yeah, they're a really exciting team to watch. Even though, I don't expect them to get out of their group, but yeah, I think they'll bring a lot to this. Yeah. And I think some of the exciting players in this team I'd say the inside backs is the most interesting
The half backs, they're really exciting pair.
Yeah.
So Megumi Abe, the scrum half, who is 4'8", 4'9"?
Yeah.
Who is, I think, the same size as Wally here, or this Ellie Kildan. Diminutive, I believe is the word they use. But also exceptional.
Yeah.
Really crisp, really sharp, really gets the ball in and out.
I've got 3 words for you. Quick tap addict. Yes. She is a quick tap addict.
Typical Japanese scrum half, I think, would be my 3. Scrum half's 1 word here.
Yeah, that's fine.
And
it's the best word in English language.
Incredibly clean. Just like good skills, quick in and out, like able to locate the ball instantly and get it away. Yeah. That's sort of Fumi Tanaka is the kind of counterpoint.
She's one of those 9s where she will fizz the ball away as quickly as she can, even if that means the pass isn't as good.
Sure.
Like, she will prioritise speed over accuracy, and that's fine. And there are enough kind of chaotic players in the Japanese backline that they like to kind of clean up that mess, as it were.
One other note on Abe
yeah.
is also responsible for the biggest squid rugby blunder of all time.
Yes.
Where after the 2022 World Cup, when we were doing Team of the Year, and I want to, give her an honourable mention because she's been superb, Megumi Abe. And I was exhausted, and we'd been turning these out very, very fast, and a real, tight turnaround that week between Christmas and New Year, and it'd been exhausting. And I misread the script because I think I'd just written Abe. And I was like, I should mention her first name as well. And unfortunately, I read the very, very awful sentence, which was, Shinzo Abe had a great year. This was 10 days after former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe was assassinated. So I said
Shinzo Abe did not have
a great year.
That also falls on me. I should have noticed that and corrected it as well.
But none of us did until the comments. At which point we read through the 50 people saying that he did not have a great
Shinzo Abe.
He said he had a great year. He's
had
been
a
assassinated.
fucking shocker. He has.
Yeah.
Got assassinated and all.
So still recovering from that. Megumi Abe.
Yeah.
I am Abe. That was a much better mistake to make then. Abe.
Honestly, no one's coming for you for that one.
No.
But just outside of Abe, they have at fly half Ayasa Otsuka.
Yes.
A really exciting 10 who has a really just controlled kicking game. She doesn't have the biggest boot in the game, but little chips and grubbers in behind and little sliding ones towards the corner are her speciality. She's really good at those. And is a 10 who plays extremely flat to the gain line. She's one of those, like, we've talked a lot about this with the likes of Sam Prendergast and Finn Russell recently, that she likes to go really close to the line and let defenders come at her because she's a really good decision maker under pressure. And she's really good fun to watch.
Yeah.
And contrasting to that, they also have, as an
Minoru
alternative
Yamamoto.
10, Minoru Yamamoto.
Who is a more kind of attacking, running fly half, takes more on herself. And so you've got these two 10s, and they're both naturally attacking players. It's not that they've got a kicker and a runner. They've got a runner and a passer, essentially. But they both keep the game flowing really nicely.
Yeah.
Like, that isn't to say that Yamamoto is purely one thing, or that Otsuka is purely one thing. They're both very, very balanced and very nice players.
It will change the course of your attack a little bit if you swap fly halves mid-game.
Becomes a real problem, though, when two of your best players are both fly halves.
Yeah.
And they're both quite different fly halves.
It's a shame
that
Yamamoto can't play 15 or something like that.
They tried playing with a 10-12 before.
Yeah.
And I think they have maybe tried as a 10-15.
Yeah.
But it is tricky. You've kind of got to leave one of them on the bench because really they're both fly halves.
They do, however, have at 12 Haruka Hirotsu, who I really like as a player. She's got just a really well-rounded skill set. Is quite a typical Japanese 12. Like, they always develop players like this, similar to like Arayoto Nakamura in years gone by. Really
what
exciting
a player, man.
Yeah, he was a great player. But similar to that, I really like the use of her here, where they, off the back of a maul, they go straight from 9 to 12, and they have Otsuka running what looks like it should be a boot line, and instead Hirotsu drops it on the boot for Otsuka running what looks like a winger's line on the inside, but she's just disguised herself so well here, scores the try, diving on the ball. Brilliantly set up, and just they have enough skills throughout this back line that they can score tries like that.
Yeah. One other player I want to bring up.
Yep.
Seina Saito.
Yes.
Who is their one really experienced player. I believe the first Sakura 15 player to ever win 50 caps quite recently. And by a long way, their most experienced player in this squad. Plays in the back row. Kind of different position, but kind of like the Hitoshi Ono of the women's team, just like the elder statesperson who seemingly has been around forever.
We just rock up every week with the boots.
Yeah, they've got so many youngsters in this team again. Like, they've got a very young squad, and it's something that Japanese women's university rugby has really blown up over the last few years. Most of the big rugby universities are always pumping out men's players going back 50 years. A lot of them have started women's programs for the first time in the last 5-6 years. Yeah. So we're starting to see this pipeline develop of talent of players who never had the opportunity before because they went to this school or that school or in this town or that town, suddenly have the opportunity. Yeah. So I think we're going to see this Japan team skyrocket in terms of ability in the next 5-10 years. I don't think we're quite there yet. You need those pathways in place from a younger age and, to build perhaps some equivalent to Japan Rugby League 1 for the women. But I think this to me feels like Japan probably won't. I don't know if we're going to look at them picking up many wins or anything. I don't think we're looking at their Brighton 2015.
No.
But I think there may be a couple of moments in this tournament where we will look back in the same way we do 2007 and 2011 now and go, oh, I could see those handful of players who went on to be a critical part of a Japan team that really built from there coming through, right? And I think there'll probably be a few young players that we know very little about this minute who have good World Cups, and in 3-4 World Cups time, we talk of as legends. And I think that's where this Japan team is going.
I'm going to make a call now.
Yeah?
Japan v Spain,
Yeah.
low-key, might be the game of the group stage.
Oh, it's going to be great fun.
They're both going to go all-out attack in completely different ways.
Yeah, South Africa v Fiji was probably the best game of the group stage last time.
Yeah.
So it feels lined right up.
Yeah.
Rugby Union.
Rugby Union.